Hi, I'm Ryan from Singapore. I'm a freshman at Columbia University in the city of New York. I will be majoring in either economics or computer science.
So what is it like academics at Columbia?
I think academics at Columbia are naturally challenging, being an Ivy League institution. So far, for most of my classes, I would say that the content is generally interesting.
Okay.
I think having come from Singapore, the contrast between Columbia and a Singapore education system is that I feel the faculty are a lot more enthusiastic.
Here. Yeah.
Right. And they are a lot more passionate about their work. The passion is definitely palpable when you hear them teach, when you hear them talk about stuff that they are interested in. And I feel that they don't just see teaching as a job, they see it as a way of sharing what they love, and I think that's really contagious, and that's what makes classes here so enjoyable. It's naturally like challenging. You hear a lot of peers talking about like getting GPAs of like 4 and stuff.
Right.
But I think it's just a way of life that you eventually get into, and maybe in a certain sense the pressure kind of motivates you to push yourself a little bit harder. And I think on retrospect, it will always be a good experience.
That makes sense. So what has been your favorite class here so far?
My favorite class here is probably computer science. It's an introductory class in Java. So I think for me personally, I dabbled a little bit of computer science back in Singapore when I was in the military.
Okay.
But I've never done any Java. So I came in with a little bit of worry of whether I would be able to catch up with like the content and stuff. The pace for introductory class at Columbia is really suitable for the term introductory class because I am having not much difficulty catching up with it. It pushes you, but at the same time it's manageable. So yeah.
Very cool. And so have you decided yet what you're going to major in?
Currently I'm kind of undecided between economics. I came in with the impression I'll be doing economics, but having so much fun in the computer science class, I'm actually kind of wondering whether I should switch to computer science.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about like the requirements for freshmen and just sort of like starting out academically at Columbia?
To give an entire scope on Columbia, in order to graduate as an undergrad, you need to have 125 credits. And this 125 credits must be split between your major as well as what Columbia calls the core. So the core is basically a series of, it's basically a form with like a checkbox where you need to fill, and various classes fill various, to varying degrees, these various criteria. So for example, there are science requirements, there are arts requirements, there are writing, literature, music requirements.
Right.
So the idea is that you're supposed to leave Columbia as a holistic individual. I'm about to be heading for my first class of the day. This is a university writing course. It's the freshman writing course that all freshmen are required to take. It typically requires writing of 4 entire essays throughout the semester on various topics. For mine, I chose one on data science, so we've been examining texts such as Turing's Imitation Game.
So outside of classes, what is life like at Columbia?
Outside of classes, I would say half the time we spend probably around campus because there's quite a lot of activities on campus. Recently we just had our new student orientation program. So yeah, also within school there are a couple of clubs that you could join. I'm kind of like in a board game club where we just play board games on Fridays, really chill.
Yep.
And I'm in a like pre-professional club as well.
And what does that club do?
So basically what we do is we find people who are working in venture capital as well as entrepreneurship, and we invite them over to Columbia in order to give like sharing sessions for students such as ourselves who are interested in such endeavors in the future. Yeah, so it's kind of like because this club's motive is to bring entrepreneurship and ventures together, as quite often these two entities seem a little bit separate even though they're actually intertwined in real life. So yeah, and outside of school, we would probably be exploring New York City because it's pretty awesome. We, as Columbia students, we get free entry to quite a few museums, including the big ones like MoMA and Metropolitan.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
yeah, we are maximizing the use of that, since like you can't really explore the whole Met in like one day.
How do you balance your extracurriculars and your academic work?
I think it takes a lot of discipline. Every class in Columbia is about 3 to 4 credits, and they would say that for every credit, you need about 3 to 4 hours of extracurricular work in order to in order to prepare yourself for that class.
Right.
So yeah, I think you just need to not be distracted by the lights of the city and just be aware that there's work. So what I always do is I just make a to-do list and I just check it off, and every time I check some item off, it feels super satisfactory. Columbia has this tradition where they try not to put classes on Fridays. So for myself, I do have classes because I took some electives, but generally there are no lectures or tutorial style classes on Fridays. So Fridays are usually a day for people to either catch up on work or go to some cool electives and just explore the city as well. Being a huge foodie myself, I'm definitely glad to be in Manhattan because at the very heart of the city, there are plenty of options to choose from for food. Typically, I usually eat at the takeaways outside Columbia or at some of the locations with great Thai food, great Vietnamese. Today I'll be having Shake Shack. Can't go wrong with Shake Shack.
So what has the transition been like from Singapore to New York?
With regards to New York City itself, I think since Singapore is a city as well, it's pretty similar in the sense of the metropolitan feel. So yeah, I think the transition for me is particularly easy because I'm going from an urban environment to another urban environment.
Right.
For New York itself, I think the great thing is if you want to explore new cultures, you can, because it's very much like the heart of America. But on the other hand, if you're missing home, like I do sometimes, finding a place similar to home, a place that sells Singaporean food, is never too far away.
Right, because it's such an international city.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really neat. And what have been your favorite places to explore in New York?
Okay, for the tourist attractions, I would definitely say I enjoyed walking across the Brooklyn Bridge and exploring Brooklyn itself. Cool thing about New York is that every district is a little bit different.
What has surprised you the most about Columbia itself?
For Columbia itself, I guess I always thought that Columbia would be a little bit difficult to fit in because being such a hallowed institution. Yeah, and I was always having this impression that everyone here is incredibly on top of things.
Right.
And I think there's always this fear that sometimes you don't belong in an institution like that. But after spending a couple of weeks here, I think you realize that actually people aren't overly competitive, and I think there's a pretty good bond between all the students here. And I think that really helps with integrating to the school itself.
Right.
And making yourself feel like Columbia is indeed home.
So what advice would you have for students coming from Singapore or from other countries who are thinking about coming to Columbia or school in the States more broadly?
With regards to Columbia itself, I think very importantly, you need to read the core, see what's in the syllabus itself, and decide if there's something that you want to do. Because while the core itself does enable you to explore many different fields, it is rigid in the sense that you cannot drop anything from within the core.
Right.
So you need to know that you are ready to explore the world in this particular sense. For education in America itself, I think the American system stands out in the fact that you have a lot of flexibility, so you don't need to decide on your major right after high school, which for me itself, it was a challenge right after high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I think that that's the strongest part of the American education system, giving you a chance to explore before you actually make a decision what you want to do for the rest of your life. My dorm is right next to Central Park, so it's a great place to chill after hard days of work. If you like this video and you want to learn more about top colleges, please like and subscribe.